welcome back to my channel, Clay Soil. My name is Purny and it's so good to see you. Today we're going to do a follow-up video on my Philodendron Birkin. There's been a lot of comments on the other Philodendron Birkin care video that I made, where a lot of people were asking me to show how my plant is doing now. I even have a few people on Instagram asking me about my Philodendron Birkin, and you know, I'm trying to share as much as I know, but I would love for everyone to input what they know into the comments below. So let's just go right into this and let's look at the leaves, let's look at the growth, let's talk about what I've been doing so far. Okay, so this is a view of my Philodendron Birkin. I've had this for 6 months, and I'm going to give it a twirl to show you what it looks like all around. So let's talk about the leaves. So when they first emerge, they are like the inverse of what it usually looks like, where it's more white with green stripes, and then as they mature they become more green with white stripes, and then as they get older and the leaves start to fade and they have more green and less white stripes on them. So if you can notice, the leaves at the bottom are all the oldest leaves. They're the ones that came originally with the plant, and they're all fading. They're all fading. If you see, this one's fading, this one's about to fade, this one's pretty much faded, and this one's fading as well. This one is fading as well. This one still has a little bit of color. It took 6 months for it to fade, which is a long time if you think about it. So you know, you don't have to worry about your leaves going from this to this within like a couple of weeks, and eventually they either get brown and dry up like this and I can just pluck it off, or I just cut them off when they start looking a little too they don't look pretty anymore. So my plant has 2 plants in them, and I just wanted to show you there's a little baby one growing. And so that's another thing I noticed. So when some people get a very juvenile form of Philodendron Birkin, it doesn't have stripes on it. So I guess it can be on either end of the spectrum, where if you get a plant that's like not mature and it's a juvenile form, you'll get leaves that start off with no stripes and then work their way up to a leaf with a stripe and then back to no stripes. But I think this was probably propagated, this plant in general was propagated from a more mature plant, which is why I'm probably getting my leaves come out with stripes and whatnot. So yeah, up until I would say end of May, I had this plant indoors and it wasn't getting too much humidity, but it was getting the proper amount of light and water, so it did well. It put up all this one, and that one, those new leaves indoors, and this is a new one that's coming in, but I'm not sure what's going on. It just kind of halted right there. So I'm hoping that'll come out soon. And as you can tell, I have a couple new more growth points coming. So I've noticed that now that I've had it outside for a couple weeks, it is starting to grow a lot faster, but it's still a slow growing plant. I mean, it hasn't really put on any height to it. It's kind of stayed the same compact height as it's been since January, and I'm not complaining about it because I don't care. I don't care for plants to get so big so fast. So this is a nice plant to have if you're not looking for plants that will like grow you know, 1 feet in one season kind of thing. So I'm not complaining about the height at all. So it looks pretty much the same since January, I would say. I mean, like, there's a little bit of height. You can tell the tallest leaf right there. I mean, but at most January was like this high. this high, and then it's just gotten this tall. So yeah, anyways, that's the leaves. Let's look at the roots. So if you notice, there's a lot of these aerial roots that are searching for the soil, and I think it's time for me to get them into the same size pot, but like separate these two, and maybe I can show that to you guys as I do it. But if you look at the roots, there are more hair-like roots in the pot, and then you have these thicker ones, and then you also have these aerial roots. From just having plants in general, that's where you would have to make a cut underneath this root to propagate a new plant, and then put some rooting hormone and put it in water. And look at this little baby, it's just growing there. A lot of people ask me how to propagate this, and that's the only way I can see that would probably work the best. As for the location of this plant, I have it in my balcony right now where it gets a lot of shade, but it still gets bright sunlight, but not direct sunlight. So it's been thriving. I haven't noticed any sunburns. I water it once a week since it is outside, and I come back every other week and I fertilize it just with regular Miracle-Gro plant food. And then also I just leave it alone. I don't really fuss with it because it's not a fussy plant. It's been doing well so far, and I'm just gonna keep seeing how it grows. So this is June, and this is how big it is. So this is the type of soil that it came in from the nursery. It looks like it's coco coir mixed with other types of soil amendments, and I don't have coco coir, so I'm gonna try to make it as airy as possible to mimic the type of soil it's been growing in for the last 6 months. So yeah, I think there was a misconception, and I also was under that misconception that you know, Philodendron Birkins, as they get more mature, they don't fade out. But I've noticed having this, it does fade out. Okay, so here is the Philodendron Birkin. As you can tell, it's leaning on one side. It's pretty leaning forward. And so I'm gonna take it out of the cash po, and we're gonna just repot this. And so I'm just gonna squeeze the sides to make sure it comes out without any problems. I'm gonna tilt it to the side. I can tell it's a little pot bound. I need to coax it out somehow. There you go. Wow. Look at those roots. There's a lot of water because I just recently watered it. There's the roots. It's pretty healthy looking roots. So the roots are thicker. There's thicker roots with some thinner baby ones. So I'm just gonna go ahead and gently coax this to separate the plant. You know, you have to be patient with this part. You can't just force it. You wanna save as many roots as you can. And look, there's like the little baby one, and there's another one growing in there. So we're just gonna slowly start to break the bottom roots. And see, when you're gentle and you take your time, it will come out no problem. They definitely use coco coir for this soil mixture. I know earlier I said there was coco coir mixed with other things, but it's not. It's really all just coco coir. I'm learning that with coco coir and peat moss, you have to be careful to not water it too much because they do hold on to moisture a lot longer than soil. So they're a great alternative to soil, regular potting soil, but you just have to be careful because you don't want to kill your plant. Okay, so I'm getting to the point where I can easily break the two roots from each other, but I'm gonna try to get as much soil out first before I do that. I do this with my Monstera deliciosa. Anytime I divide a plant, I try to get out as much soil as I can first, because I feel like that ensures me from not just ripping out a whole bunch of roots, and then it just also makes sure they come back, they bounce back better. It's definitely not a fast growing plant. You can even tell with just the root system. Okay, let's see. Can I go ahead and divide this yet? No. I need to work up top a little bit more. When the nodes start to intertwine and lock around the plants, that's when it gets really hard. Trying to be gentle. You will lose some roots trying to divide, but you just have to be careful. Okay. Here goes nothing. You see? They are slowly starting to separate from each other. So I'm just not gonna force it. I'm gonna keep working with the soil. And there it goes, you guys. I am going to reuse this soil because it is good soil. I'm not gonna get rid of it. I will add some perlite and some worm casting into this, and then we'll go from there. I'm just gonna quickly go ahead and rinse off these roots, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now that I have these rinsed off, I just wanted to show you all the root systems on this. And then the cool thing about this plant is, if you look, there's little babies growing all around this one. There's that right there. I don't know if you can see. This is a better, there you go. That's the new baby. There's a tiny little one right there next to the node, and then there's one growing here. So it's cool to see how it grows from itself. And then this one doesn't have any on it, growing on it yet. There was one tiny one. I don't know what, maybe that one's just not gonna do anything. But now that they're both separated, I have a feeling they'll both start pushing out more little baby plants. And so you can see that there are some thicker stems of thicker roots, and then there's the finer ones. This is almost kind of like how pastazanums and mames, that's how their root systems are too. So, all right, before I pot these two, I wanted to talk about the two types of soil I have right now. This is coco coir, perlite, and worm casting. The reason I put worm casting in is it's a soil amendment, so it'll just help put some nutrient back into the soil. And then the perlites to help it have drainage. Since before it was all just coco coir, it was holding on to water a little too long. And then the other soil type I have right here is a mixture of peat moss, perlite, orchid bark, and indoor potting mix. So I'm gonna do a little experiment. So in the terracotta pot, we are going to use the coco coir mix, and then in this regular plastic nursery pot, I'm gonna use the mix that I made. I wanna see how it will grow in a terracotta pot as opposed to sitting in a nursery pot that's going to be in another cash pot, okay? So let's get just right into it. I'm just gonna put this mixture in here. Scooped out section like this, and then let's put this one in here since it's a little bit smaller. Wow, look at that root. See how it just fills up? So now I'm going to nicely cover it up. Whatever I have left over from the soil mixes, I'll just use for my other plants. So I do like to reuse my soil. So that one is done. As you can see, I have put this one in and put that one aside. And now in this nursery pot, I'm going to put in the mix that I made. Okay, so let's just recap the two different pots that I have in front of me. I divided the plant, I showed you the root system, I showed you how new growth comes from this plant. It can come from the top, but it can also come from the bottom around the root system. So this is a terracotta pot, and this is the one that has the coco coir mix with some perlite and worm casting mixed into it. And then this is the other one that I have in a nursery pot. Let me just get it out first real quickly. So it's in a nursery pot that it was originally in, and now I'm going to put it back in here because it's making a mess. Let's just wipe this off. This is the one that's in its original pot, and it has a mix of indoor potting mix, peat moss, orchid bark, perlite, and some worm casting as well. And like I said, I put worm casting into this. Both of the plants is because it'll just give it some nutrients for the plant to feed on and get bigger and healthier and stronger. So what I think I'll do for these two plants is, moving forward, I'm going to make updates on my Instagram channel, how they're doing in the different soil mediums and different types of pots. And then in August sometime, August or September, I'll give you, I'll do another video that shows how they're doing at that point. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope that was helpful. These are just a few things that I have learned caring for it. I do have to mention to you one thing. I am now watering it as often as once a week, but when it was indoor, it was staying, just because of the type of environment it was in my house, I could get away with watering it once every 2 weeks, because I would come back and stick my finger in the soil and it would still be damp in the top 2 inches of soil. So now I do have to come in and I have to still check with my finger. Sometimes I can get away without having to water it every week. It just depends on if it's been really hot or humid. Lately it's been very cool here. Like, we've been having a lot of 70 degree, 60 degree weather, even in June, which is so unheard of here. So I've been able to kind of play with the once a week watering here. So yeah, like I said, just make sure you're coming and you're checking on your plant. You stick your finger in the soil to make sure it's actually needs water, because you don't want to over water it either. It'll I notice if the watering is not proper, if you're not watering it properly, the new leaves might not come out, or they might come out deformed. So you just have to be careful. Like, you don't want to overwater it or underwater it. Other than that, if you have any other questions, let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer them to the best of my knowledge. But this is pretty much it. And just to recap, if you like a more slow growing plant, this is a great plant, because you're not gonna expect it to go from this to like that tall in the season. It's just not gonna happen so far. But who knows, it could. Like, it's only June, so by August we can do another update to show you how it'll get only from being outside. Just let me know in the comments below as well. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Share it to your friends who have philodendron Birkins as well. Please also leave any comments below. That can help all of us take care of our Birkins as well. And if you're not part of the Clay Soil family, go ahead and click that subscribe button so we can be friends. And you can also click on the bell icon. It'll notify you every time that I create a new content or create new videos and upload them. Also, I'm on Instagram at Clay Soil Purny if you'd like to follow me there as well. So I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.